Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about or answer this question: are period 9 houses better? I can cut to the chase and say not necessarily, but of course that doesn't help many people. So let me explain why and how you can look at this that can profit you as best as possible. Now, if you watch my video, 6 special flying star formations for all houses, house facings, all periods. This will tell you actually for any residence um, what your flying star chart, what special formations your flying star chart has. I have both the permanent and the annual. And this will tell you what you need to know. Now, remember, I am not monetizing my channel. I don't earn any money when you watch this. So, and this is why my videos don't have ads all over the place, because I'm not monetizing. So this is really because this is what you need to watch to understand what I'm going to be talking about. Now, if you watch it, you will see that every residence with a definitive facing direction has a potential flying star, special flying star formation. Now, what is a definitive facing direction? It's actually easier to explain what is not a definitive facing direction. If your house faces right at the line between two subsectors, you do not have a definitive facing direction. And it's as simple as that. Now, very few houses are like that. Most, I mean, it's possible, but most are either on one side or the other. It is sometimes a little harder to determine just by a satellite view, because the satellite view does have about a half a degree error. But if you have a survey done and you can find your house plans, usually you can get it down to 6 digits. And I've yet to see a house with the 6 digits that doesn't have a definitive facing direction. Now, it is true that some of these flying star formations are stronger, more powerful than others, but regardless, the stars don't do anything unless the formation is activated. And all of these formations must be activated for them to have any positive effect on your life when you're living there. Now, as much things many things in life, the harder it is to meet the requirements to activate, the stronger the formation is. That's just the way it is. Um, I'm not 100% sure that this is absolutely true, but this is what the rules are. Now, my recommendation is see what you already have possible in your current place before you think about moving to a new house. Because you may just need one little thing that will really improve your house, and you don't have to move, you don't have to go through the pain of figuring out, how you're going to sell, uh, or just the pain of moving. I mean, that is a lot of work. So, and of course, this also applies to apartments and condos too. But uh, you know, this is it's never any fun to move unless you're really looking forward to moving to a whole new location. Now, once you find this formation that your residence has, you have to see if it's already activated or if it's activatable. Now, if it's already activated by the rules, um, and you're not having a lot of good luck, there's a couple reasons that might be there. You might be out of gua with the house, so you don't receive that energy. And I do have a video about that. You might have some sha qi, especially some pretty nasty external sha qi that can make this a problem, that can really tamp down that energy. Uh, and if you've downsized, you may actually have too much furniture, too much stuff in your house. Downsizing is difficult because you have a lifetime of accumulated stuff, and if your house is half the size it was, it's going to be hard. And I'm going to experience that soon. We are downsizing to a house about one less than one half the size we are living in, and we're going to get rid of a lot of stuff. We are okay with that. Our biggest problem is books. We have so many books, so they may have to be in boxes, and we'll just have to itemize what's on the box, what's inside the box. So now I do have another video activating the 6 special formations that will tell you the requirements you need to activate your particular special formation that your residence has. So everything is there. Between these 2 videos, you will know what you have. And oftentimes you will see that you have part of what you need to activate it, but maybe you need the other half. Oftentimes you need to have a combination of water and mountains. Now, mountains, of course, in feng shui also means hills and higher ground, so keep that in mind. But oftentimes you don't have the water. Luckily, water can be placed by human beings, and it's okay. If it's there to activate a special formation, it can be anywhere. Now, every residence, or I'm sorry, every period 9 residence has the potential to have a 7-star robbery formation, and it can be activated if it has the right requirements. At least it has the potential for this. But only half of the period 9 residences have a relatively easy ability to conform to the formation. In general, apartments won't, simply because of the way most apartments are laid out. But if you have a house, whether you're renting or owning, there's a better chance. Although it's still got a lot of things you have to meet, and it is a bit difficult. Now, the other half basically requires that your facing is not towards the road. Most houses face the road. If you have houses beside you and behind you, you face the road. But if you are on a lake and one side of your house faces the lake and the other side faces the road, then you have a possibility of having this harder to get 7-star robbery formation. And that's good, but it's, again, there's not many houses on lakes if you look at all the houses around the world. Now, the 7-star robbery has a lot of requirements. It has external landform requirements, interior layout requirements, and period requirements. And I do talk about that in the activating video, so you can hear it in more detail there. What I'm going to focus on here is actually the easiest formation to have. It's still very powerful. If you can be in a house like that, that's great. And this activation only requires you do not have any missing sectors. And most people who know a little bit about feng shui know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the combo 10 formation. Now, if you're renting and you have a missing sector, it's going to be pretty hard to convince your landlord to add a piece to your house. But if you own, this is something you can consider. And if you actually have an addition put on the house, you can either close off that addition so that it's used only, that you only can enter it from outside, so it's really not part of the house anymore. That can solve the problem, especially if this is like an office or a hobby room. That can be doable, but you could also tear it down, although that's seems pretty wasteful. But at least you can consider that. Now, mountains and water do strengthen this combo 10 formation, but they're not required to activate it. So again, and the mountains and water here can be anywhere. It's not so picky about where they are. They just generally strengthen things. So, and they tend to even strengthen the good stars. Now, remember, combo 10 is one of the 4 formations that make all stars timely for all periods. And this is why this is the easiest to get, but in the most powerful group. So don't say, combo 10, that's no good. It is a very good house. Now, there are two other formations that are listed in the all houses, all periods, what you have. It's the on mountain on water and the up mountain down water. They are fairly common, and they tend to be weakened outside the period of that house. The only exception is period 8. However, in period 9, even these houses will be a bit weak, because 8 will be the weakest, but 8 is never super negative, even in period 9 when it's the weakest. So if you have one of these in the period 8, it's okay to stay in the house, at least for a while, see how things go. Uh, if you can find a better house, it's a nice thing, especially just another combo 10 would be good. And usually those don't tend to be like really expensive houses because people don't realize how good they are. I mean, let's say the value will be there if you can get a combo 10 house. Now, personalization of the residence to your best directions, at least one of them, also helps improve the quality of the opportunities that come your way while you live there. You might, if you're not in a good house, maybe these opportunities won't be easy to get, or they might be not really suited to you, and may not sync with you very well, but the opportunities will still be there. It's just a matter of how hard you want to work to take advantage of them. Now, here are all of the permanent combo 10 residences out there. You will note there is no period 5, and there's a good reason for that. I think if you think about it, you can figure out why, because the facing direction is never towards the center, and you have to have a 5-5, and the base star will always be 5 for a period 5 house. So the base facing, this is good for finances, and the base sitting is good for health and relationships. So you have a mix here, and um, this is just the way it is. And you will see that, we have 3, we have 7, we have 2. I mean, these always um, seem to come together. And one is always space facing, one's always space sitting. So that's the pattern that develops. Now, the remember I said you have to, it's ideal if you actually match your group to the facing of the house. So the East group people have 8 possible. The West group people also have 8 possible. But it doesn't, you don't absolutely have to follow this. If you can get any one of these houses, it's not too bad. For example, an East group person can be in a West group house if the main door can face one of their good directions, and if they can have their bed and their desk in a good direction. That's also, then they've got 3 good things in the house. That's not too bad. So it all depends on the details of the house. It's also ideal if they can have their range or cooktop face a good direction. But for a range or cooktop, it's most important if it can be in a non-animal sector sign. Uh, so, in the one of the 24 mountains, that it be in a non-animal sector subsector. But if that's not possible, then yes, it really should face a good direction for the person. Now, when you have a couple that is East group, West group, this becomes a little tricky, and you have to give one something good, then the other one gets something good, and it's just a kind of a play of who needs what, how you decide to do this. Now, if we restrict ourselves to the 6 through 9 periods, and that makes a fair amount of sense because there are very few 1 through 4 period houses still in existence, because if it was built that long ago, it almost certainly has had its roof replaced. And the standard way to replace roof which makes a lot of sense, is they take off the shingles, the underlayment, and all the decking. And so your your house, the interior part of your house is open to the sky. It's true even if you have the drywall still stays up. Uh, Almost every house has an access up through the rafters somewhere, and that brings the energy into the rest of the house. So, I mean, even if it's closed most of the time, it still brings the energy in and changes the period of the house. This is why if you have a good, um, an activated special formation and you need your roof replaced, you have to be there and put it in the contract that they can only remove half the roof before they put the deck back on and then remove the other half. Then your house won't change the period because you don't have it open at the same time to the outside. That's the way to safely replace a roof and not change a period. And if you have an activated special formation, you probably don't want to change the period of your house. So you have to be a little careful with that. Now for period 9, we have two possible houses. Now you will see that in period 7, if you were an East Group person and you can find a period 7 house that you know hasn't changed period, you can take either one of these. That would be very good for you. If you don't have one already, that is. If you're a West Group, you have period 8 has some good houses that are fairly easy to find. And here we have one in each group. So everybody gets a chance in period 6 and period 9. So uh, if you don't already have one of these houses, you might want to look for them rather than trying to find a period 9 house, which will be more expensive because it'll be basically a brand new house. So that's something to consider. So again, before you decide to move to a newly built residence or change your current house to period 9, see what you currently have available in your current residence. It may not be worth the change. Many times what your current residence needs to activate its special formation is exterior water. Now, if you're in an apartment, you probably can't do anything about that unless you're really lucky and you can place water on your balcony and that's where the water needs to be. Then you'll be lucky because then you could activate it. And um, that would be only if you are also facing the direction of the building. I mean, it gets a little complicated. But unfortunately, the mountains, which again in feng shui includes hills or higher ground, they must be natural. Now, many people don't think they have this, but most people do. It doesn't take much higher ground for you to qualify of having higher ground in a certain direction. The easiest way to see this is with a topography map. And most places in the developed countries at least have topo maps available. Sometimes you can get really detailed ones, other times they're more general. The color-coded ones might be easier to read, but either way, you can do this. And of course, you have to understand what you're looking at, but you may not think you have a hill, but you do. And it can be in the right location. So now, if it's only a hill and somebody takes that hill down, some people take that hill down, let's say to flatten it so they can build, that's going to destroy a lot of that energy. But as long as their house sits on higher ground than your house, it still counts as a hill. It's just rather weak. And of course, the higher this mountain is, the higher the energy is. But there is also being too close to a mountain too. You can be so close that it feels like it's looming over you. That's too close. So there is a right distance here. It has to feel comfortable um, in terms of being too close. So, uh, and you can get overwhelmed. The problem is if it's too close, the energy is so strong, it's rather overwhelming, and it's really hard to sleep. Now, if you can find an activated or activatable pearl or parent string within some of the houses that, and they can be activated at any point in time. They don't have a time issue like the 7-star robbery does. It will result in a stronger positive chart than a combo 10, but they do require proper landforms, and they both require mountains. The pearl string also requires water. So you can't put a mountain in place, but you can place water. So possibly a pearl string could work. Um, uh, that is, it's not currently activated and the current owners don't know it, but you know that how to activate it, and so you could have a lot better luck than they did. But these are stronger. Now, in period 9 and in period 1, there are only two possible permanent special flying star formations. They are the combo 10 and the 7-star robbery. Now, you only have two of the 16 charts in that are combo 10 in period 9. Also in period 1, you only have two out of the 16. So that's a minority. But they all have at least the possibility of having the 7-star robbery. Again, only half of them are easy to do, and the other half you have to have special conditions like being on a lake. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the annual special flying star formations because I give them to you in the tables and that the video I first talked about. But it's they are powerful, but it is still better to have a permanent special flying star formation because this permanent one is there all the time. Any annual special formation only occurs once every 9 years, and that's its biggest drawback. Now, I would say go for a permanent combo 10 of any period over an annual pearl or parent string of any period. That is, if the house doesn't have the permanent combo 10 and only has annual pearl or parent string, I don't think they come together. I wouldn't choose that house. I would choose the one with the permanent combo 10. Even though it's a weaker thing, it's there all the time. Now, if we look at the flying stars, there are arrangements, annual arrangements, that look like 7-star robbery formations, but there doesn't seem to be very much evidence that these actually work, that it is a true annual special formation. Now, because the 7-star robbery formation is so picky, it needs so many things, maybe you have to have at least one of these things work, and perhaps the one is the timing has to be right. Now, this means that it's possible that perhaps if you're renting, maybe in the next couple years you might have a annual special formation, the 7-star. Maybe you stay there until then. Now, I don't list that on my video because I was running out of room, but uh, you know how to fly the annual stars. They always fly forward, so you can always test that. And you only have to do 9 because there are only 9 annual stars. So you can always test that if your house may have that. So, and if you're renting and you can't like put in water or you can't do this or that, you can't rearrange how the inside is arranged, I mean, obviously, then this is a possibility because you can take advantage of that 1 year, especially if it's coming up soon, and then be able to buy your own house. And you may be able to find a better one. Now, in general, the annual special flying star formations don't require the same landforms as the permanent formations do. But if those landforms are present, that annual formation is stronger. I mean, that makes sense. But, don't worry about it if you don't have it. Now, I would say that the period 5 residents have the fewest long-term good formations. There aren't a lot of good period 5 houses. Most of the formations that they have are the on mountain, on water, and up mountain, down water, which once we leave period 5, they don't become really good again until we reach period 3, which is 140 years after we left the period 5. So in general, they're not very good houses. There are a couple good ones and a couple really good ones there, but in general, it's not so good. So, and again, most period five houses are kind of on their last legs if they haven't been well cared for. And since you're lucky, there isn't likely to be so good, they may well have fallen apart by now. They certainly would have had their roof replaced, and then it actually could be a much better house if they do that. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please feel free to contact me here if you have questions or leave a comment. I have more details about my company on this web page, and I do have a PayHip store that has some charts for the house. And so if you're interested, that can help you, especially if you don't have the money for a full um, analysis. You can do a lot of this yourself, and that's one of the big reasons why I tell you so many details. Thank you again for watching.